What are you doing to protect yourself? A lot of raspberries around here. I'm actually quite a ways off the road, back into the rhubarb, back into the bush. Got my bear spray just in case. Hey, I'm Darren Ride from 12 Church, and today we're talking about the fact that if you're a disciple maker, you are a target. You're on the front lines and the enemy is seeking to take you out. This is true whether you're a pastor or a paid professional of some kind, paid ministry professional. If you are passionate about reaching other people for Jesus, about being a disciple who makes disciples, you are a target. And we could go in all different kinds of directions to talk about that and what that means, and maybe we'll do that in the future. But today I want to just raise the issue, raise the question, what are you doing to protect yourself? I want you to imagine there's a sniper pointed at you. There's a little red dot on your chest, or maybe several of them. What would you do? One of the primary ways that followers of Jesus Christ, leaders in the church, in disciple making, get taken out is sexual immorality. When you see how frequently it happens, it's pretty much amazing that a guy like Billy Graham managed to make it all those years. He had some pretty strict guidelines. What are your guidelines? What do you do to protect yourself? Many years ago, I came across a sidebar article in Leadership Journal by Randy Alcorn. The article was called Consequences of a Moral Tumble. And I took it and I wrote it out in my own words, though a lot of these words would be very similar, if not identical, to Randy's. And basically, it is a list of what will happen if you, as a Christian leader, in my case me, commit adultery. The intent of this is to think through the implications, which is a bit like an inoculation, a bit like a vaccination, a reminder of just how serious it will be. I've known several people in ministry who have committed adultery and are no longer in ministry. Some have made it back by the grace of God, but most have not. So today, as a free public service, I'd like to share with you my version of Randy Alcorn's Consequences of a Moral Tumble, which I have subtitled, i.e. Committing Adultery. Consequences of Committing Adultery. Public disgrace and public confession. Grieving the Lord who redeemed me, dragging his sacred name into the mud. One day having to look Jesus, the righteous judge, in the face and give an account of my actions. Jesus, this is what I did. Following in the footsteps of people like, and you can fill in the blank, who through their immorality forfeited their ministries and families and caused me to shudder. Inflicting untold hurt on my wife, losing her respect and trust. Hurting my children, and now my grandchildren, and destroying my example and credibility with them. If my blindness continues, or my wife is unable to forgive, possibly losing my wife and my children, my family, forever. Causing shame to my family. Losing self-respect and creating a form of guilt awfully hard to shake. Forming memories and flashbacks that would plague future intimacy with my wife. Wasting years of ministry training and experience for a long time, maybe permanently. Hardening the hearts of unsaved friends and relatives. Think about that. Your sexual immorality, your moment of pleasure, could be instrumental in keeping people in an eternity separated from their Creator. Undermining the faithful example and hard work of other Christians in our community. This happens again and again. The non-church, the non-Christian world doesn't see, this church or this Christian or this believer or this denomination. They see it all as one, and what any one of us does affects the others. This one gets me. Bringing great pleasure to Satan, the enemy of God, his people, and all that is good. There's a stomach-turning thought. Bringing pleasure to Satan. Bringing pleasure to the one who hates me. Bringing pleasure to the one who is opposed to Jesus and all that he stands for. Bringing pleasure to the one who is trying to destroy relationships and families and lives. That's a pretty big inoculation. Heaping judgment and endless difficulty on the person with whom I committed adultery. Possibly contracting a disease and perhaps infecting my wife and causing her death. Possibly causing pregnancy with its personal and financial implications, including a lifelong reminder of my sin. Causing shame and hurt to my friends and the people of the church. Invoking shame and lifelong embarrassment upon myself. Going through such a list will not 100% prevent adultery. I still know and am very aware that the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong place, I am vulnerable. But reviewing these consequences from time to time keeps the reality in my face that adultery is not just a simple little thing. It's not a sin that can be done and hidden or forgotten, but it is something that ripples through eternity and affects everything I stand for, everything the Lord stands for, everything His church stands for. In addition to this, there are other things I do to protect myself. I've had very strict standards over the years in the way I relate to ladies on the job, in the church, in counseling. Standards that some people now are starting to ridicule. People are starting to say that the Billy Graham rule should no longer be a rule. I just say, watch for a wave of adultery. As I'm recording this, and maybe that's why I'm recording this, my wife is down staying with our grandkids, taking care of our grandkids, while our daughter-in-law is on a work practicum 5 days a week. My wife and I hate being apart. I think the most we've been apart is 5 or 6 days maybe. The plan right now is that we will be apart for 4 weeks. I do hope to do a trip up there and maybe see her in the middle of all that, see the grandkids in the middle of that, but we're going to be apart for 4 weeks. As this time was coming, as this time being apart was impending, I realized I needed to take additional steps to protect myself. And so I wrote an email to 4 friends who know me, 4 friends who have the courage to ask the tough questions, and said, here's the situation. I sense a battle with the flesh on every level, whether it's to do with food or slothfulness, oversleeping, or impurity of every kind. I just feel an impending battle with the flesh during this month when we're apart and when I have some pretty important projects to do. I asked them, would you consider randomly through the month checking up on me, asking the hard questions, probing and digging, keeping me accountable? If you've ever done anything like that, you know how much the imminent question, the imminent call does protect you. And I can already say 2 nights into this 4-week ordeal, it's already helped. So what are you doing to protect yourself? If you're a follower of Jesus Christ, committed to being a disciple who makes disciples, you are on the front line. There's a target on your chest, on your head, on your back. What are you doing to protect yourself? What are you doing to protect your family? What are you doing to protect your ministry? What are you doing to protect your witness and your effectiveness as a follower of Jesus?